Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our presentation. This is Group 2, and we are dealing with North Africa. North Africa had a number of countries, but we are going to deal with a few selected ones. We are going to deal with Morocco, Libya, Egypt, Morocco, and Tunisia. You find that North Africa was colonized with different colonizers from Europe. And there were four major colonizers. Namely, we had Spain, we had Italy, we had Britain, and we had French.
We find that before colonization, Tunisia was under the Ottoman Empire, and it became under the French rule in 1881, and the French controlled it up to 1956, when it actually gains its own independence. Morocco was colonized by the French in 1907, and it continued until 1934, but it got its independence in 2nd March 1956.
Another country in North Africa was Algeria, and Algeria was colonized by France between the period of 1843 onwards, and you can say that settler domination of Algeria was not secured until the fall of Napoleon III in 1870 and the rise of the Third Republic of France. And until then, Algeria was remained largely under military administration until it got its independence in 1962.
In Egypt, Egypt was colonized by Britain from the year 1882 to the year 1914. We get that the main reason why colonialism took place in Egypt was first the construction of the Suez Canal that first started with the French, and then it was taken over by Britain. The main reason why Britain had to take over the Suez Canal from the French is that the Suez Canal was much more profitable, because all the traders and the other colonial masters who are coming from Europe, who are using the Suez Canal trade route, they were being taxed, and the Suez Canal was seen as much more profitable to the Britain. Then these resources were being sent back to their mother country for development.
Yeah, another another country in North Africa is Libya. And when we talk about Libya, we are talking about a country that was colonized by Italy. Its colonization began in 1911. It continued up to 1943. Now, Italy officially left, or rather renounced, Libya as its colony or its occupation in Libya in 1947, after the World War II, when Libya now was taken over by the Trusteeship Council of the United Nations. Now, Libya officially gained independence in 1951 on the 24th of December.
We find that in North Africa, colonization was actually being driven by three forces. And these three forces are, we have the political, the social, and the economic. Under economic, we find that in North Africa, actually the Europeans actually wanted to obtain surplus capital outside Europe, where the interest they got from the market, or the goods where initially they traded, or the benefits or the interest they had. They wanted now to take it and invest it to other countries. That is why actually they went to invest in countries like Algeria, countries like Egypt, to build. An example is to the building of the Suez Canal.
Number two, the search of new the search of new markets where they'll sell their products. And number three, the need to obtain raw materials from Africa, and those raw materials included gold, ivory, slaves, and among others.
Under the social factors, I'll give you an example of 3 points. About the first point, you can say that the European had interest in spreading their religion, which was Christianity. As we know that North Africa was mostly an Islamic region, so they had interest in spreading their religion. And then number two, there was a demographic factor, whereby at that particular time, Europe was overpopulated, so they were looking for colonies in Africa where they can settle their overpopulated people. Then number three is the civilization and Western education.
Under political reasons why colonialism took part in North Africa is that when we want to focus on political issue, we see that there is something that is attached with prestige and power. We can see that the North African countries were colonized by four major countries. That is the Spain, Britain, also we have Italy and the Spanish. So we get to see that French had more colonies in the North African countries. So it was seen to be more powerful, and that was a sign of political that having many colonies in Africa, it showed that France had more power than the other countries that colonized the North African part of Africa.
Yeah, when we talk about colonization in Africa, we're also talking about its effects and what it left for Africans. Now, one of the, for example, positive effects is that it led to a more structured form of leadership, and it led to some hierarchy of leadership. You see, when these colonial masters came, some of them used indirect rule, where they used the local leaders to take over, or rather to help them to be in touch with the people in the ground. And so it led to some form of structured leadership in North Africa.
In North Africa, we also find that it also led to money currency, where initially we find that people of North Africa basically did a barter trade, where they exchanged goods for goods. And when this power came, there was introduction of money currency, and also it also led to development of infrastructure, where we find that many roads and hospitals were built.
It also led to poor education system. This is whereby Africans were enabled to learn how to read and write the language of colonial masters.
There was creation of a large political unit, and this was advantageous to the North African countries as it led to faster growth of those countries.
We also get that because the people in the North African countries were subjected to poor conditions, maybe we can say even the working conditions were poor, we get that these people were affected by diseases such as the smallpox that led to many of them dying in the places where they were working.
Now, we also have other effects, and this one include the 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 the, uh, the degradation of the African culture, where it was despised. These colonial masters came with their culture, including their language, and it was imposed on the African people. And so we have the African culture being set aside, and most of them taking up their culture of their colonial masters, including their language.
We also find that when this actually came to trade, the major imports the major goods that they acquired from the Africans or the people of North Africa were slaves. And through acquisition of slaves actually, it brought about humiliation. And also to the people of North Africa, there was a we find that there was a depopulation, where now those strong and able people from North Africa were being taken and living as along or living aside those people who are weak, who couldn't even work. And this also brought about uh, like that it left the country without some improvement, that is in economic wise or yeah, in terms of development in the minds of Africans.
Another impact, it led to creation of division of classes, whereby the upper class was meant for wealth merchants and the lower class was meant for slaves.
There was advancement in technology. For example, you can say the construction of Suez Canal. First of all, they were using manual labor, and then later there was introduction of machineries which help in the construction.
Now, in conclusion, we can say that in North Africa, we get that the colonialists had both the positive and the negative impact to the people in that area. We cannot decide to take sides, because the colonialists took both a positive mark to the land, and also they made a negative mark to the people. Thank you for watching.